Well, back in my younger days, before actual video games were even in existence at the arcades, there was a lot of electromechanical games running around out there. I used to spend a lot of time at my local YMCA, and one of the games they had there was a electromechanical bowling alley. Now, what was really neat about this is it had these little small weighted balls that you would throw down the alley, and you hit the pins, and the pins would flop up inside the machine, and you would get a score. It was actually a pretty fun game. Not too much longer after that, I remember seeing a game called Robot Bowl. Now this was awesome. I like bowling in general, so an electronic version of bowling was basically right up my alley, pardon the pun. Robot Bowl also went by the name of Super Bowling as well. It was actually a fairly decent game. It gave you a lot of variations to the gameplay. You could control where your player was, and you could throw the ball fast or slow, and as the ball's going down the alley, you could hook it right or left. Made it quite challenging. It's actually a pretty fun game to play. Not long after that, I remember seeing another bowling game that was called 4-Player Bowling Alley. This one was put out by Midway, and what was really neat about this game is it had a trackball in it, and the trackball looked like a little miniature bowling ball. So basically you use the trackball to put your position, your player in position, and depending on how hard you rolled it and what direction it rolled in, you can get the ball to go down the lane and do a hook. Very, very cool control scheme for a bowling game. I kind of like the trackball version of the bowling games. They're a lot of fun. And this 4-player bowling by Midway is actually pretty decent. I like the animations of the pins as they flop around and slide all over the place. It's actually awesome. Very, very awesome. And then another bowling game I remember seeing, I didn't get to play this very much, but it was 3D bowling by Meadows. But this was kind of cool because it actually looked like the bowling alley went down into the screen and give you like a false 3D effect. Controls were fairly simplistic. Basically had fast and slow, and you could hook the ball and stuff like that, like some of the other bowling games. But all in all, it was a fairly decent game to play. Of course, my all-time favorite is going to be that 4-player bowling alley by Midway, especially the cocktail version of it, cocktail table version. It is just totally awesome. Now, moving on, let's take a look at some bowling games on some of these early pre-crash systems. First up, we're going to take a look at the RCA Studio 2, a black and white game system that had a bowling game built into the console itself. The basic gameplay is very basic. You have like 3 buttons you could choose. You could choose a straight-on shot, you can change a upper hook, or you can choose a lower hook shot. I actually played this game quite a bit. For what it is, it's not too bad. It's a very simplistic bowling game, but it gets the point across. Now here's bowling for the Fairchild Channel F. Now I really like this game. I spent many hours playing this on my Channel F. What's cool about it is, after you select the ball to launch, you can actually engage the hook anytime you want. So it adds a little bit more to the gameplay over the RCA Studio 2. Next up is the Odyssey 2 version of bowling. Pretty good bowling game on the Odyssey 2. Not too bad. It just takes a while for the ball to reappear, though. Next up, we have the great Atari 2600 version. This one is very enjoyable. I like how the bowling ball reacts with the pins. You actually see the ball kind of go a different direction when it hits a pin. It doesn't move straight through them. Adds a little bit of realism to the gameplay. That is so awesome. I like how the pins fly off the screen. That's so cool. Then, of course, we have PBA Pro Bowling on the Intellivision. Now, the Intellivision is a really awesome bowling game. There's a lot to the game. You actually have to, select where the ball's going to go into the alley. You can set the slickness of the alley. You can choose the weight of your bowling ball. Very involved bowling game, and it is very enjoyable. If you like electronic bowling games, this one's definitely to try. I love the animation of the pins also in this one. Sometimes they'll twirl around in place, which is kind of funny. Now let's check out a bowling game on the Bally Ashercade. And what's neat about this is you place the position of your ball, you move that black box, down into the field there, and depending where your ball's positioned, that's where the ball's going to cross when you throw it. The white dot you see moving along on the bottom of the screen, that's the amount of spin you're going to put on the ball. All the way to the left, no spin. All the way to the right, maximum spin. So it's kind of neat how they adapted the gameplay to the Bally Ashercade. Now, Microvision had a really cool bowling game. Very simplistic. You really couldn't put any English on the ball from what I can see from playing the thing. I'm actually playing an emulation right here. I used to have a working Microvision, but the screen rotted and died. So now I play Microvision in emulation. But it's still a fun bowling game, all in all. Then, of course, one of my favorite handheld electronic bowling games, the Coleco Bowlatronic. I love this bowling game. It has quite a bit to it. You actually select a position on the field you're going to throw the ball from. That's the top row of numbers. Then the bottom row is how you're going to throw the ball, straight on with a hook or more hook. And then you have a little guide that runs across the top of the screen that goes at different speeds for your speed of release. It's actually very well done. Well, that's just a few of my favorite bowling games. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.